So, ladies and gentlemen, we have new Nintendo Switch 2 updates, rumors, leaks, and news. And some of this is absolutely massive. So we're going to recap some news that happened over the weekend, but there's also some major stuff happening this week, and it is going to be a fantastic week just for gaming in general, right? A bunch of events, and honestly, everything we're about to go over right now has me so damn excited. Let's go and get right into this video. So over the past 48 to 72 hours, there's been so much news happening. Big rumors, huge updates, crazy leaks, or is this a leak, or is it not? It's just so much stuff going on. So at this point, we're at the end of May. Is there a Nintendo Direct this week? Maybe, but probably not. It seems like everything is being held off for that June Direct, which at this point, it's almost June, so it's like, yeah, you might as well just hold it off because there's so many possibilities that could be one of the biggest directs of all time. But even without that direct, everything we're about to go over today is insane. Rumors, updates, news, and leaks. Even a new Nintendo Switch 2 console variation leak. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would really mean the world to me. And also, thank you for 31,000 subscribers. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep the communities growing. And let's just go and get right into this. So first, let's talk about a little Nintendo news. And it's not about the Switch 2 or even the Switch. I mean, technically it's about the Wii U, but it's even more than that. So there's a recent interview with Reggie, the real true president of Nintendo of America. And I know we'll have new ones here and there, but it's always going to be Reggie in my mind. He talks about the reason why they made the NES and the SNES Classic. The other thing we did was that over 2 consecutive years, we launched those little retro devices. If you remember, right? The little NES, then the following year, the little SNES. We did that to support our business because we needed something to sell in volume heading into the holiday season. So it was a series of business ideas, knowing full well that, the Wii U was on life support. So this was a way to kind of just hold Nintendo over, like moving into the Switch generation. Because the Wii U, the way we look back on it and all the games, it only sold 13 million consoles total, and the Switch 2 has already surpassed that. Now, speaking of the Switch 2, it was projected to sell, I can't remember, right? Like 20 million maybe by June or July, or it had a huge projection. Then the stock dropped down, games weren't coming out, there was rumors of a price increase, and people are thinking, well, it doesn't look like the Switch 2 it's going to keep taking off the way it was, but it's still going to do pretty good. And then there was rumors, maybe even coming from Bloomberg, which is kind of funny. I didn't even realize that's what we're talking about right now, another Bloomberg article. Or maybe it was somebody else, Forbes or something, but they were saying that Nintendo is slowing down production of the Switch 2s. So then you had the Nintendo grifters saying, look, the Switch 2 is going to fail. Now we have a new report coming from Bloomberg and Nintendo. The report claims Nintendo plans to produce an additional 20 million Switch 2 units through March of next year. And people are saying, well, why would they do that? Especially when a price increase is coming. And the way I look at it is, when the prices are what they are right now to manufacture these consoles, Nintendo's probably saying, look, let's just lock in and produce as many of these consoles as we can before the consoles get a price increase, but also the manufacturing cost goes up as well. And I think that's the right idea, I've been saying it. I know it's not a popular opinion. I don't think this price increase in September is going to be the final price increase. And a few days ago, I think on Friday or something, I made an updates video. And I said in that video that I found a leak about Sonic Frontiers Definitive Edition having like an actual homepage or something. But then that homepage was actually deleted. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to cover it in this video because I just want to make sure it's true. And then like an hour or two after that video live, we got a massive Sonic Frontiers Definitive Edition leak. And allegedly coming from Bill Kunn, which is a very, very reliable insider, Sonic Frontiers Definitive Edition will release on Switch 2 on June 23rd, 2026. So the way it's looking right now, just trying to guess something here. This looks like one of those games that is possibly going to be shown off in that next Nintendo Direct. Now the crazy thing is, it's not like, oh my god, Sonic Frontiers Definitive Edition, but if you're laying out everything we get in a Nintendo Direct, and there's also Sonic in there, it just makes it look like a better Direct all the way around. And I've also heard they're like changing some stuff to the story and some pretty substantial stuff. And I think it's going to cost $50 if I'm not mistaken. And before we get into some huge updates and news, I want to cover this weird, it's not so much a leak as a theory that was going around. So over the weekend, I think it was like a random Twitter user, because I seen it pop up right away, said that they realized that Kingdom Hearts Cloud Port demos have been removed from the Switch eShop. And I believe that was done here in the US, Europe, as well as Japan. I did see a couple other countries, or maybe it wasn't all of Europe, because maybe somebody in Spain said that they seen it was still there. But all the Kingdom Hearts ports, they had demos to see if the cloud version would work on your console or with your Wi-Fi or whatever. Those demos have been removed. Now, we've had a rumor for quite a while that the Kingdom Hearts trilogy is going to get some native ports on the Switch 2. So this is the theory currently, right? We have Summer Games Fest, we have a Nintendo Direct, we also have something else that I'm missing right now. But it looks like, or the theory is, they are finally ready to reveal or about to reveal the Kingdom Hearts trilogy, so they don't want you to even focus on the cloud versions anymore, because we're going to have the native versions. And if I had to guess, maybe leave those for the Switch, but on the Switch 2, it doesn't even make sense to have the cloud versions as well as native ports. Now keep in mind, this is just a theory that the internet is kind of running with, and I do think there is some truth to it, or potential truth there. But at the same time, they could be doing this for a plethora of reasons. So I'm going to keep my hopium to a minimum, because I would love to replay the trilogy on my Switch 2. 3 is not even that great, but I still had fun with it. And it would just be a blast to play these handheld. Now, if those ports do make an appearance on the Switch 2, obviously those would come via Square Enix. But those are not the only thing people have their eye on currently from Square Enix. The day I'm recording this video is the 24th, so this will come out on the 25th. So on Wednesday, I believe, is the huge Dragon Quest event that's happening. And this is for the 40th anniversary, I believe, right? Now, we're all expecting that first real look at Dragon Quest XII, which I do think is going to happen, but I think there's a lot more going on top of that. Square Enix has posted 8 unlisted videos on the Dragon Quest playlist. That means we could potentially get 8 different trailers on Dragon Quest Day. So maybe they'll have those trailers that will come out after the Dragon Quest live stream that's allegedly going to happen. At least that's what I think I read, that there's going to be a live stream. So one of those games we know is Dragon Quest XII, right? We know this. This is going to happen, and this needs to happen. Now, another thing we could probably check off is we've seen Dragon Quest XI-S get a Switch 2 rating, I believe out of Taiwan. That would be awesome. I would buy that in a heartbeat. I also really hope whenever that port does come out that there is an upgrade path, because with it being Square Enix, it's probably going to be a game key card, so it'd be really cool just to get the Switch version and then get the upgrade path, right? So those are 2 games we can expect, 12 and 11 Switch 2 edition. I am very interested in what those other 6 trailers could possibly be. Maybe Dragon Quest Builders 3, just putting that out there, even though it's probably not going to happen. Some kind of spin-off, maybe some more HD 2D games. I'm not really sure, man. So time will tell on this, but we do not have that much longer to wait. Yeah, this video has a lot of awesome stuff to talk about, but we're not done yet, and we have even crazier stuff to talk about before we get into a Switch 2 console variation leak, which is coming from Nintendo. We also have new 3D Mario news coming from Nintendo as well. So this is coming from a recent interview that Shigeru Miyamoto did. And he says, with the achievement of Super Mario Odyssey, I think we've gotten everything we wanted out of the Switch system. Up to now, we released new Mario titles with the advent of each console, and I guess they still did that technically with Mario Kart World. I'm excited to see how the current team will handle that. Now, I'm not sure how true this is or not, because I was reading like another article that was quote tweeting this or something on Twitter or something. It probably was fake. The last time Shigeru Miyamoto did an interview through this medium, or this kind of interview about a 3D Mario or something like this, that the next Nintendo Direct is when a 3D Mario was revealed. So like I said, I can't confirm that or deny that. It does sound exciting. It does sound cool. It's something I would love to believe. And I do think with the Switch 2 price increase coming up, and investors, doing whatever they're doing, and then Nintendo wanting you to know that buying a Switch 2 is the right decision because you're going to have all these amazing games to play. If there was a new Mario game scheduled for the Switch 2, let's just say next summer or maybe next holiday, maybe that game is already done. Nintendo sits on games. I could see them honestly pushing the release date of that up, or the reveal of that up, just to kind of smooth stuff over, and again, just reassure you like, hey, it was the right idea to get a Switch 2. Look at all these great games. Look, there's a new Mario. So like I said, I don't know how true that is, but I'm gonna believe it for the time being. And now it's time to talk about a new Switch 2 variation, right? This is coming via a new patent. And I didn't even find this patent. I don't know if I looked at patents on Thursday. I thought I did. But normally patents come out on Tuesday or Thursday. So if this one came out, I might have missed it. But it is definitely for a new Switch 2 variation. But it's not so much a new Switch 2 variation that's interesting, because maybe we can just credit that to that new Switch 2 that will have a removable battery, which is still exciting. And I think the Joy-Con 2s even have to be able to be fixed easier or something, right? So that is all very exciting. But it's what they're doing in the Switch 2 patent that might point towards a new service for Nintendo Online, as well as a new accessory. So shout out to Mike Odyssey for highlighting this. Nintendo just filed a new patent for a Nintendo Switch 2 model. Everything appears to look normal, but one small detail shown in the images below. And he's saying potential Zelda edition or cheaper model, which I don't know about that. Not only that, but the patent also shows the Joy-Cons being attached upside down, leaving the display port on top. And he's thinking that maybe this is for a second screen add-on. Now, I do think getting the Nintendo DS for Nintendo Online at some point is just going to happen. And the only way I can logically think of that happening is a second screen. I just don't know how possible, it is with the Switch 2's battery. Let's just say the Switch 2's battery is 2.5, 3 hours, right? Maybe more if you're playing an easier, less powerful game. Would that second screen kill the battery way faster? And I'm genuinely asking that because maybe it will, maybe it won't, maybe it will have its own power source. Maybe you'll charge the Switch 2 and charge the screen attachment separately, right? Then that could counteract how fast the battery would die. But regardless, this is interesting because they're definitely doing some wacky stuff with the Switch 2. So, if we got Nintendo DS on Nintendo Online, even if it has a $100 screen accessory, dude, I don't need another console but my Switch 2. And I know it sounds like I'm glazing the Switch 2. I have a PlayStation 5, right? I play it sometimes 3 days in a row. Sometimes I don't touch it for a month because I'm just having so much fun with the Switch 2. And all these games are coming to the Switch 2. And if we have Nintendo's whole freaking backlog of retro games and classics, as well as new stuff, as well as third party, Maroon, I've said it once and I'll say it again. What the hell are we doing here? This is awesome. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, I would love to hear from you guys. Truly, we talked about a lot, but I think there's just a lot to talk about. So let me know what you guys are thinking. And if you made it to this part of the video, if you could do me a favor, hit a like and subscribe on the way out. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter on the way out because we're growing on both platforms. And consider becoming a channel member because we're streaming every single week. And I would love for you to become a member. And also, go check out my video from yesterday. It's about 40 Switch games that have free Switch 2 upgrades on the Switch 2. It's very interesting and you might learn something. And you guys know me, I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace!